And we don't know how it's going to go, but Arena's law is a criminal justice package that will limit bail. Because, this whole part of the story was that the crazed lunatic, schizophrenic, crazy guy was arrested 14 times and let back out in jail and let back out of jail. And, you can't just post bail and then, wreak havoc on society over and over again and not be held accountable. So this limits that. And it also makes sure that defendants like this guy actually gets evaluated for whatever mental health issues they have. Because, we talk about this all the time. The common denominator here is mental illness. And no one on the left really wants to talk about that because they just want to push the anti-gun lobby, and their anti-gun legislation. They just want to push gun control and all this stuff. That's the narrative that they keep pushing. But it's not the guns, because law-abiding gun owners don't do this. It is crazy people who do things like this. It is crazy people who kill other people for no reason. It is crazy people who stab innocent women in the neck on a train. So, the bill also lays out that offenders should be examined for involuntary commitment. This is a guy who probably would have benefited from someone saying, this guy needs to be put away. And I know it's, controversial to, do that against people's will, but this is someone who is so mentally incapacitated. I mean, someone has to step in and do something for the better of society to make everyone else safe. So hopefully that passes. I think that would be just wonderful to, especially, in her name, because it was just a horrific story. And, we all were so moved by it, not in a good way, in a a heart-wrenching way. So, making change in her honor, I think, is really, really great. I also want to talk to you about Violet Affleck, Ben Affleck's daughter with Jennifer Garner. She's 19, and she was on the floor of the UN at the UN headquarters in New York yesterday. She was talking at the Healthy Indoor Air, a global call to action event, and she is a Yale University freshman, and she contracted long COVID, and I guess is now telling everyone that they need to mask up. So listen to this.
And the threat of long COVID manifested in a series of choices. Young people lacked real choice in the matter and information about what was being chosen for us. Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels. Every subsequent infection
I can't hear you. Take your mask off.
And places people who already have it in greater danger. Here's what we don't know, is what it does to reinfect children over and over and over again with no endpoint in sight from the day they are born. We are about to find out. As Dr. Akiko Iwasaki says, at this point, the whole population is the control group. And after only 5 years, long COVID has surpassed asthma as the most common chronic illness in children. 5 years. I am terrified for the children who do not or soon will not know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion, who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection. And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for, and we refuse to use it.
Thank goodness for the closed captions, because I womp, 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 womp. That's
exactly
hearing.
what. Remember the teacher and just said peanuts,
And,
womp, womp,
Charlie
womp,
Brown.
womp, womp,
Womp, womp, womp, womp.
womp. And the biggest question of all, if I was like one of the ambassadors for Yugoslavia, I would just raise my hand. Why are you wearing safety goggles? She looks like she's getting ready to go play paintball.
I think those are her glasses. They're just ugly, right?
Oh, my bad.
Although people during COVID would wear face shields and goggles because they said that you've got multiple places that you can contract COVID, right? whatever hole opens, to the air, you can get COVID. So people would be like, well, you can get COVID in your eyeballs. And they were totally convinced of this.
I mean,
right?
I ain't hating. I wear contacts, so I ain't trying to hate on her. It's more about what she was saying that was a little annoying. But like, I mean, come on, like addressing the UN. Like, I'm pretty sure the air inside of that building is pretty good.
Yeah, I think I think she's probably okay. But these are the two options for Hollywood kids: masked activist, or you can become trans. But those are your two options. But really what this tells me is that in her whole life, she has never struggled. She has two absurdly famous parents. They're absurdly rich. She's not oppressed in any way. People with unlimited resources and time who don't need to find a job and they have to figure out a victimhood thing that they can go with. This is what they do. It's just like a time filler, and they can pat themselves on the back, and then everyone can tell them what a good job they're doing. That's like literally what this is. This is a resume filler for Violet Affleck. And leftists, of course, are from people without medical degrees. Oh, okay. So then we're not listening to Violet Affleck then, because she doesn't have a medical degree. Okay, we're just using the leftist logic here. You can also find someone with a medical degree to validate almost anything you want. That's the problem with that narrative. Like, I don't listen to people unless they have a medical degree. There are pro-vax doctors. There are anti-vax doctors. There are doctors who chase checks from Big Pharma. And this honestly goes for any information on the internet. If, the sky is blue, I can go on Google right now and prove to you all that the sky is blue. But if I wanted to find articles that the sky is also purple and orange and pink and black, I could also find scientific articles backing up those claims too, right? And this goes for literally anything that you want to prove. There is both sides you can find on the internet. Everyone's an expert. Everyone's got science and facts on their side. That's the problem. Everyone feels validated all the time. And everyone's got a freaking platform. So, I'm tired. We saw this, right? The Tylenol tweet from 2017 resurfaced. Of course, Tylenol themselves said that pregnant women should not use their products. This is the tweet. We could pull it up here. That, people were making known. They were making it kind of go viral again today. This is what they said, March 7th, 2017. We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today, whatever that is about. I don't know. But yeah, they've said this multiple times on their X page. If you go to their X page and you search pregnancy, you're going to see multiple things like this where they say, contact your doctor. Like, if you are using Tylenol, go to your doctor. They're putting the blame on the doctors, right? And of course, doctors who are bought and paid for by Big Pharma and the lobbyists and whatever, they are going to push certain drugs. Like, this is how this all works. So, and I think the sad thing is a lot of women. Well, we saw this yesterday. A lot of liberal women are, taking Tylenol because they say, well, my doctor said so. And I think people have still not woken up since COVID about the fact that your doctor can be wrong. Your doctor can be wrong. The experts can be wrong. Science is supposed to evolve. Information in the medical industry evolves. And when you get new information, you have to adjust. And we've seen this, like, there are so many drugs that you can't take when you're pregnant. And they didn't always know that. And they realize that it's bad after someone takes it and something bad happens to them. For example, Accutane. People take Accutane for acne, and it is so, the regulations are so crazy if you want to take this drug. Like, you need to prove that you are not pregnant. You have to pee in a cup. You have to take blood work every month to make sure that you are not pregnant. Like, they are so serious because the side effects, if you take this drug and you are pregnant, are so severe. Your baby will be severely malformed. And, people had to find out the hard way. right? That's how you find out that you can't take certain things when you're pregnant. You realize, oh, there is a pattern. This is happening. So again, like Tylenol themselves has said this for years. You should not take this while pregnant. And people are all up in arms yesterday about President Trump saying, take it sparingly. And they're all annoyed over it. I mean, it's just totally insane. Totally insane. Should we go to number 20 here? President Trump, he unveiled the Walk of Fame.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
The Walk of Fame. President Trump unveiled this earlier today. This is a video that shows all of the presidents. They are in these, of course, gold frames. And then, of course, you see Bush, you see Obama, you see President Trump, his first term, and then, oh, who's that? It's the auto pen. And it says, Joe Auto Pen Biden. Because as you know, he wasn't really... I mean, he was there, but it was kind of like a shell of Joe Biden. And then was he there towards the end? We don't really know. It's still unconfirmed. So the auto pen.
You know, he's a quintessential troller.
Yep.
Trump is.
Troller in chief.
That's the best one.
Troller in chief.
That is the best one.
I want Biden's reaction. Someone sent this into the Biden family group chat. What I would do to be a fly on the wall in the Biden family group chat.
I bet he has no clue. I bet he's eating ice cream somewhere and has no clue.
I want to see if Trump hangs. Trump snubs Biden. We have to check Biden's X account and see if he said something. That would be so funny. Should we get into some scrolling time? Let's do it.
You want to hit 22?
Oh, yes. Okay, so one more story before we hit scrolling time. Connecticut is banning marriages between first cousins. Finally.
Yeah, you got to be on East Tennessee here speaking with knowledge. You got to be fifth cousins. You got to be.
Andy knows from personal experience.
You got to be fifth cousins, y'all.
This reminds me of the Mean Girls scene when they're at the Halloween party and Karen, who's very stupid, looks over at this guy and she's like, oh, like Seth is looking fine tonight. And then Regina George is like, isn't that your cousin? And Karen's like, well, you have your cousins and then you have your first cousins. He's my first cousin. And
first
she's like,
cousins off limits. Can't do it.
Doesn't really work like that. You don't have your cousins and then your first cousins.
Fifth cousins.
Fifth cousins. All right, so Connecticut is placing a firm ban on marriages between first cousins. This starts October 1st. So if you're a freak and you love your cousin, you have a few days left to marry them in Connecticut. But yeah, this was a unanimous agreement between Republicans and Democrats. So we can agree on something. Maybe in Alabama it might be a little different. Maybe we wouldn't have everyone come together, but in Connecticut, everyone came together to say no marriages between first cousins. And basically it just says that no person can knowingly marry their first cousin. But if you don't know, then it's not your fault. But how do you not know? I think
that's where you get into that. It'd be hard not to know
you're
somebody's
adopted
your
or
first
something.
cousin.
You wouldn't know.
But fifth cousins that's way down the line. You're not going to know who your fifth cousin is.
You're freaking me out.
I'm sick. You think this sounds like a bit. I'm usually an idiot. This sounds like a bit. I'm being serious. It's fifth cousins.
In Tennessee?
Well, I mean, I would practice that everywhere, but like definitely in East Tennessee. Yeah, fifth cousins.
Oh, man. Anyway, the state law already prohibits marriages between immediate family members. So you can't marry your parent. You can't marry a stepchild. Anyway, so now you cannot marry your first cousin. Interestingly enough, other states, Arizona, Illinois, and Indiana, they permit marriages if the parties are near geriatric or infertile. So essentially they're saying love is love unless you're trying to have children. Then we're going to step in and say you can't do this. But isn't that crazy? If you're near geriatric, both parties have to be near geriatric or infertile. So if both of you are infertile, you can get married?
If it's just saying like if you're first cousins?
Yeah,
you
if
can
you're
still
first
do
cousins.
that. What took you so long to figure out you was in love with your first cousin if you're a geriatric infertile
You've known them
person?
forever, right? You think. Anyway, this prompted me to ask Andy. I said, this is a weird law, right? I mean, it's not a weird law. The law is great. I approve, but I'm saying this is strange that it took place in 2025. But then it got me thinking there are some funny laws that are on the books elsewhere. So Andy's gonna share some for us.
Oh yeah, this is definitely stuff. I mean, most of it's from a BuzzFeed article this year. So like these are legit. These are legit
On the books.
On the books, real laws. If you're in Alaska, it's illegal to push a live moose out of an airplane. I mean, you got to think like, damn, a moose can raise some.
Oh, we almost had a spit take there.
Raise some heck on an airplane, but you can't kick them out. You got to try to land with them.
Oh, don't read the next one. She's still recovering.
You can't push a moose out of an airplane?
Yeah, you can't do it.
You can't push it was a live moose.
A live moose, yeah.
A live moose.
You can shoot it and I guess push it out of a plane, but you can't kill a live moose.
How would you get a live moose on an airplane anyway?
If you've ever been to Alaska, which I have, and you've ever been in the bush and seen a moose, it was taller than me in the passenger seat of a 15-passenger van.
You been in the bush in Alaska too, or just in Alaska?
No, I was pretty far. I was pretty far out there in Alaska. Yeah, but you can't push a moose out of a plane. So I'll move on here. In Montana, you can't leave a sheep unattended in a truck.
In Montana.
Yeah, that's a bad thing to do in Montana. Also in Washington State, harassing Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or any similar unproven creature is a felony.
I agree with that.
It gets a little squatchy in Washington State.
I totally agree with that. You have to have that on the books just in case.
100%.
The truth is out there. Bigfoot is out there, and if you see it, don't poke him with a stick, you know?
I thought this was a little obvious, but you know what I
agree.
mean? I mean, I'm just one man. It is illegal to fish for whales in Nebraska.
For whales?
Whales, yeah. Nebraska seems a little landlocked, but like I don't know.
This just has to be like people trolling. You know, they get into office and they think, like, let's pass something dumb.
No, this is real. No, this is real. In Virginia, it is illegal to tickle a woman.
That people must break the law all the time.
In Virginia.
That's an easy law to break. I need to know what the fine is or the punishment if you tickle a woman in Virginia.
We can look that up. Absolutely.
Justin, you have to look that up.
You want to get one more here?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I got one. In Alabama, it is illegal to wear a fake mustache to church if it causes laughter.
But if it doesn't?
I mean, stash it up.
People don't even know that these are on the books, right? So, like, if you wore a fake mustache to church, no one is calling the cops on you.
I don't know how many. I don't know what. The good thing would be to figure out when in Texas, tying your elephant to a parking meter is forbidden.
There's a lot of that going on in Texas, I hear. Everything's bigger in Texas. So.
But I mean, we need to do a follow-up segment here and see if I can figure out when some of the last times these laws were actually enforced. That would be funny.
Yeah, that would be funny. Then we need the story. Because you know about Florida Man. You search Florida Man, there's a crazy headline every day of the year, right? And I think it's because there's a law on the books that says that certain things are made public in the media, and then in other states it's not. So anyway.
All this is fascinating. In Arizona, donkeys are not allowed to sleep in bathtubs.
Which is a big problem. I'm glad we're talking about this now.
Yeah, it all seems overall less important than the second cousins legislature in Connecticut. That seems, for the DNA pool, that seems pretty important up there in Connecticut.
Well, I've been enlightened. Thank you, Andy. This was fun. Let's get into some scrolling time. Okay, so yesterday I played a video, and we're not going to play it again. So if you want the context, you have to go back and watch the show from yesterday. But I played a video of a University of North Georgia student who made a TikTok video saying she found something very concerning in her textbook. And it was that in a chapter about identities, it said that Christian identities, it was a white supremacist group in the United States of America. And she's reading this and she says, what? Why is this happening? Why can they even say this? Can we cancel these professors that have this book? Can we cancel the writers of the book? Of course, because of course, you know, Christian is not a white supremacist group. All Christians are not white. This is ridiculous, and we all know that this is false. So someone in the Instagram comments, because we posted this clip on Instagram yesterday, and someone said, "Can you please do a follow-up?" I went to her page, and there's an update. So here's an update. Here's what she had to say. Watch.
I'm back about the book. First, I'm going to show the page so everybody calling me dumb or not getting the context can see what I'm talking about. All of these words were written in regards to identity, but the last word written in regards to identity was Christian. And in the parentheses, it says what I said. Therefore, the reason I posted this is because I had no idea about the Christian identity movement, and neither did the book mention that. So without the book mentioning that, I am sitting here thinking that these authors are calling Christians a US-based white supremacist group. That's my fight for why I made the video. Okay, so I reached out to the dean yesterday, and he replied this morning and told me to reach out to my professor. I ended up reaching out to my professor, and she enlightened me about the Christian identity movement, which I had no clue about because the book doesn't go there. Anyway, my professor was very nice. She emailed the whole class explaining the Christian identity movement, but at the end of the day, I still think the book shouldn't be on the shelf. And my dean emailed me saying, "Is there anything else, or am I unhappy with the end of the conversation?" And I feel like I should say, I don't think this book should be read. I don't care if it's one sentence. Yeah. So I have to say what I have to say.
You know, also, the professor assigned this reading without the context that they're talking about the Christian identity movement, which I have never heard of in my life, by the way. I've never heard of the Christian identity movement. And I guess this was a chapter on identities, but it literally just says Christian and then in parentheses, white supremacist group. So, of course,
it feels like a bait and switch.
Yeah, if you don't have that context, of course you think that. But I think that it's wrong for the professor to assign it without explaining. The professor only explained it because a student brought it to the dean's attention. But I've never heard of this in my life. And you know what? This is obviously something that the left has completely made up, right? Because I've never heard of the Christian identity movement in my life, but I just Googled it. And it says that the Christian identity movement is a racist, anti-Semitic, and extremist religious ideology that believes that people of Northern European descent are the true Israelites. It is a fringe belief system and is not part of mainstream Christianity. I've never heard of this in my life.
I've never heard of it either, ever.
And like, I'm a Christian and I am a conservative. And if you ask a leftist, they would probably say that I'm a right-wing radical, right? I'm like alt-right crazy. I've been working in conservative media my whole career. I've never met someone who thinks like this. I've never heard of this in my life. Like, this has to be fake. I've never heard of this.
It's like they write a chapter about it in a book and it don't exist, but they teach it anyway to kids. It reminds me, I have a history degree, so it reminds me of like when I was in school taking modern Middle East and all these courses. The teacher would always make us buy her book. Was in the syllabus for the classroom, and we never read it. It was just a way for her to make money. So it was just like every student have to buy the teacher's 100-page book that she wrote just to be, you know.
She makes money.
Yeah, she makes money, and
Yeah.
so this feels like an easy way to indoctrinate college kids. Just let's throw a chapter about something that we just created.
Yeah, and
in a
most
book
students
and
wouldn't
teach it.
question it like she does.
100%.
So, yeah, this just goes into the fact that the indoctrination is happening. Stay woke out there. We're going to end it on the last video that I have here, and we'll save the rest of the stuff that I have for tomorrow. But I was cracking up at this video. This is a mini horse from Mini Horse Therapies. And this is a horse that I'm going to read you guys the Instagram caption quickly. And it says, Black Pearl loves to wake up kids out of anesthesia with her keyboard, playing at Shriners for Children Medical Center. Watch this. This is a mini horse playing the keyboard. Could you imagine? This is how they're waking people up out of anesthesia. Could you imagine if they're like, how many fingers am I holding up? And then this poor girl is like, well, I see a miniature horse playing a keyboard.
If I have woken up from anesthesia and that thing was playing that keyboard, I would just ask that trainer to turn it around and ask it to kick me in the side of the head and put me back to sleep. Because that's a horrible.
This is a horrible way to wake up from anything. I would be afraid. I'd be shocked. I'd be, that's no way to wake up.
Just give me some smelling salts. Like, don't crack it open and let me just wake up like I'm coming out of a concussion.
Anything. I'd be like, I'm still asleep, clearly. Anyway, I thought that was funny. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for scrolling along with me. Everyone watching on, Facebook and X, I hope that you made it over to Rumble. I hope that you watch the show tomorrow, because all the videos that I have for scrolling time we're going to get to tomorrow, and all the things that we missed. So plenty of good stuff coming. You could follow me at Haley Carania on most social media platforms, X, Truth Social, TikTok, Instagram, and I will see you right back here tomorrow. Bye.
To change the world and bring America back to greatness.
Experience the greatest celebration of America. 4 days, thousands of patriots, the loudest voices, the strongest leaders. Featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, Grant Cardone, Rob Schneider, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Glenn Beck, Riley Gaines, Todd Chrisley, Savannah Chrisley, and more. December 18th to 21st in Phoenix, Arizona. The movement meets here. You won't want to miss this. Register now at amfest.com.
At Turning Point USA, we say that chapters change the world. We are Americans, and we are going to win.
Do you want to change the country?
We are Turning Point USA's National Field Program.
And we're hiring.
Are you looking for a challenging career?
Something you can grow with in an ever-changing world?
Look, this isn't just a job. It's a journey of development with the mentorship to guide you through.
Join an organization where your warrior spirit isn't just welcome, it's essential.
The one thing we can promise you is that this is a career that will never get boring. Just ask our biggest fans.
So what does the field program do?
We are recruiting the next generation of American conservative leaders.
We give high school and college students the necessary resources to start successful chapters.
We are the boots on the ground, doing the hard work no one else will attempt.
Whether that's deep in the South or all the way in California.
We plan to host thousands of chapter events across the nation.
Many of our staff in leadership positions were former chapter leaders and alumni of Turning Point USA.
We mentor passionate young conservatives who love their country.
Join us.
Late to bed, early to rise.
Work like hell.
And organize.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard.
When I first started this, I was 18, no idea what I was doing, no connections, no money, unlimited energy, enthusiasm, and I actually thought this was possible, which was kind of crazy if you think about it. Only in America would an 18-year-old with no idea what he was doing, literally no idea, be able to walk the halls of the Republican National Convention, give out business cards to every human being that I made on a little topographical printer, say, we are losing our country, young people are the answer, we need to do more on college campuses. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America. This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. What they're doing is one of the hardest things to do in the United States of America. They are deciding to be less popular on campus. They are deciding to actually speak out with a high social cost. They're deciding, even though it might jeopardize their job, their career, or their reputation, to put their country over themselves.
I used to be a Bernie Sanders supporter. It was one of your videos that really woke me up, and you're an inspiration. Wow. You're awesome. Thank you.
You are why I do what I do.
So which way are you leaning? Can I get ahead?
That's a good answer. Be welcoming. Even if people have different viewpoints, be open. You guys on the front line, starting Turning Point USA high school chapters, starting Turning Point USA college chapters, you are on the front lines of saving this country. And you look around, our numbers are increasing. We are happier. We are joyful. We love the nation. College campuses should be a marketplace of ideas where you can have debate and dialogue and discussion, where you can hear something that is different than the point of view that you're entering with. Every day you get to fight for what is good and what is true and beautiful. You are doing something that is bigger than you. Turning Point will live longer than me. That's my mission.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Lane Schomburger. I am the Chief Investment Officer and founding partner for a company called YRefi. I'd just like to give a quick shout out right here. I mean, Charlie, right? Who doesn't love Charlie? Charlie. So, you know, I'm thrilled to be up here and underwrite this program and sponsor it. And why would we do such a thing? Well, Charlie found something in us, in YRefi. And what that is he found interest in you and how he wanted to help you get out of debt when you get out of college. And what we do at YRefi is we refinance private student loans that are in default. So Charlie took an interest in us, and we took an interest in Turning Point. We have a lot of the same ideals and principles and philosophies, values, and that's what we clicked, just like that. And it was amazing to be a part of what Turning Point is building and doing. So as an owner of a company, I've seen what he's built, and I'm just sitting here saying, wow, this guy has really got it. Charlie Kirk has really got this thing. September 10th, everything changed in a blink of an eye, just like that. And now we're all here celebrating Charlie, and we're building something. We're going to build this to the biggest thing it's ever been. Turning Point will become the biggest thing ever. And I'm glad to say, and I'm really proud to say, I am Charlie. You are Charlie. We are all Charlie. So thank you for being here. By the way, this is a beautiful campus, by the way. So before I go off the stage, I want to tell you, tonight you've got an amazing lineup of speakers. I'm hoping you guys have some real good dialogue and conversation with them. When you get out of school, I'm curious, let me ask you a few questions. I'm trying to see if I can see. How many of y'all have student loans? By raise of hands. A lot of you. How many of you know how much money you owe as of right now? Raise of hands. Not the majority. Okay, this is why Charlie found interest in what we do. I've heard him ask this question on campus. I've heard him ask this in debates and so forth. And it's just one of those things, guys. Pay very close attention to what you're doing when you're taking out these loans. Okay? Hopefully you'll never need my services. Right? Because if you do, you're probably in trouble. But if you do, know that we're here. Look us up at YRefi.com. It's letter Y, REFY.com. The other side of our business and what I focus on really is raising capital for to do what we do. So if you're an accredited investor, maybe mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, someone that's looking to help us with our mission, check out investYRefi.com. Okay, please be a part of it. So all that being said, you're not here to see me. You're here to see Governor Youngkin. You're here to see Megyn Kelly. So I'm going to step off the stage after I say thank you very much again for your time this evening. Thank you for coming out and being here. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of these amazing questions and some of the debate and dialogue. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
Please welcome Governor Glenn Youngkin.
Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, Hokies. I thought we'd have Enter Sandman going. I can't thank you enough for the incredibly warm reception. All gathering together tonight to talk about a turning point. A turning point. You got a big night in front of you. By the way, Megyn Kelly's here. But I first am going to ask everybody here to stand up and give a rousing applause to the Turning Point team for pulling tonight off. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Unbelievable. All these volunteers down here, I want to thank you for your leadership, your service. Thank you. Amazing. Here we are. Here we are, my friends. We're here to reflect, but we're also here to go. And that's what tonight is all about. 2 weeks and a day ago. 2 weeks and a day ago, where were we? We were worried about lots of things, not what tonight was going to be like. To be candid, what I was worried about 2 weeks and a day ago was moving schedule around because Charlie had been incredibly gracious and invited me to come to Blacksburg and be part of this event. That's what I was worried about. I talked to Megyn Kelly yesterday, and she was working on her logistics as well. The team was working on how to pull this event off. I'm sure all of you were focused on school. It was a different time. It was a different moment. 2 weeks ago, it all changed. You see, early in the morning, on September the 10th, Charlie did his last podcast. He did a podcast. He had done them more frequently than any of us can possibly imagine. He had engaged in conversation all over the world. And that morning, he was engaging in another podcast. And that podcast would end up being his very last one. At the end of the podcast, the interviewer asked him one question. Hey, are there any phrases or sayings that you like to live your life by? And he said, well, there's two. The first is, this too shall pass. What a comment. This too shall pass. It's just a saying. It's a saying that when things are really good, be humble. And particularly when things are really bad, have faith. This too will pass. His second statement was really important that morning. He said 2 Corinthians 4:17. Romans 8, verse 28. Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God's work for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. I'm going to say that again. As we know that in all things God works for the good of those who loved him, who have been called according to his purpose. called and according to his purpose. And this too shall pass. That morning, Charlie left us with a blueprint. That morning, he left us with guidelines to once again benefit from a man who spoke truth. He left us again with something to reflect on our own lives. And therefore tonight, we have an opportunity to reflect and we have an opportunity to go. I wish Charlie were here tonight. I wish we were engaging in that amazing moment where Charlie speaks truth. There is a dialogue, a respect, a recognition of the beauty of freedom of expression. And we will have that tonight. But I know we all wish Charlie was here. But see, the truth is that the question that has been asked over and over again is, who will be the next Charlie? And as I look out in this room and I see thousands of you, I want to repeat the best answer that I have heard. You will be the next Charlie. All of you. And that is something to take home tonight. Now, you will have a leader that's extraordinary. A leader that we have all come to know in a very different way than we knew her 2 weeks and a day ago. Over the course of the last, to lead Turning Point going forward than Erica Kirk. My friends, I think right now it's a moment to cheer for Erica Kirk. But you see, you can't put a light under a dirty old bucket. That's the way we sang that song in church with my kids. You can't put a light under a dirty old bucket. Charlie was a light. He was a light who literally believed in truth. And he shined his light in such an extraordinary way, a way that demonstrated respect, a way that demonstrated the basic, most important command that after love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your being, love one another as he loves us. That was the foundation of Charlie Kirk. But you see, given that all of you are the next Charlie Kirk, all of you therefore are light. Each one of you is the light. A light that shines in the corner of the room, a light that shines brightly on evil, a light that chases out darkness. That is each and every one of you. And I don't begin to know where each and every one of you may be in your own faith walk. And that's why tonight is so important. Because tonight is a moment for us to come together and, as I said, grieve, but also to go. Tonight is a moment for us to come together and reflect. And that's why I want to share with you a few thoughts around how to do that. First, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to examine yourself. Stare into the mirror and ask yourself some really basic questions. What do I believe? Do I believe that there is an almighty being, an all-powerful God? Do I believe that that God loved me so much that he sacrificed his only begotten son so I could be reconciled with him? What do I believe? This is not a moment of condemnation or challenge, it's a moment of question. Let me just be clear. My own faith walk is not one of a rocket ship. In fact, when I was sitting where all of you were sitting, I was not faithful. In fact, God fixed that for me. He put in my life one of, I think, the key tenets that Charlie constantly extolled all of you to understand, that the most important decision you will make in your life after accepting Christ as your Savior will be deciding who you marry. That's the most important decision after that. And boy, did he change my life, because he put Suzanne in my life, and I love Suzanne, and I wanted to marry Suzanne, and so I asked Suzanne to marry me, and she said yes, but. Now guys, let me just tell you, that is not the answer you want. Yes, but. But she said yes, but. And then she looked at me and grabbed my hands and she said, Jesus is really the center of my life. And therefore, he has to be in the center of our marriage. Promise me you'll do that. Now again, here's some coaching for the guys. When you're in that moment, let me just tell you what the answer is. Yes, that's the answer. But see, I wanted to get married. And so I looked at Suzanne and I said, absolutely yes. And little did I know that she was going to take me on a journey that would change my life in a way that I could never possibly imagine. Ever, ever. I remember the day when I actually truly accepted Christ. And I was in a new Christians class. Yes, you had to take that in order to join the church that we were joining. And I found myself in a moment where the Spirit descended on me and I could do nothing other than weep. And at that moment, I knew that there was so much more to this. And I was on a journey that I am still on today. A journey that opens up deeper pathways to God's love for us. So when I say examine yourself, look in the mirror, it's not a moment of judgment. It is a moment of opportunity. The second thing that I would challenge us all with is to engage. You see, one of the things that we all loved about Charlie Kirk is he not only spoke truth, but he challenged us. He challenged us to do more than sit on the sidelines. He challenged us to engage in thoughtful dialogue. Of course, recognizing we had to do it with respect, but to fully engage. Don't back down from your beliefs. Be prepared to debate them and discuss them, but engage. And then he would call us all to engage in the search for that person that will make you a better person when you enter into marriage. To engage in relationship and family. To engage in the things that we know make us better. But also to engage in our civic duties, our civic responsibilities. To understand what it means to jump in. To understand what it means to stand for the values and the principles that we hold dear in this great United States of America. Now I'm going to tell you a secret. Being governor of Virginia is really cool. It's awesome. And by the way, someone in this room, I hope, one day will feel a calling on your heart, and you will run for office, and you will run for office to serve. You will run for office to stand for the things that we believe. And I can't wait to hear the story of the one of you, or two of you, or 10 of you, or 100 of you that choose to do that. But I got to tell you, being governor is really awesome. You see, every morning I have an opportunity to think about what are we going to do today in order to make people's lives in Virginia better. Every day. It's unbelievable. Now, I start out every day with the clear recognition that it's impossible for me to discern what that is. It's impossible for me to execute against the plan. It's impossible for me to do that without asking for help. And so this journey that my amazing wife put me on, this journey that I found that there was so much more than just me, invited me into a relationship with the Lord that's unbelievable. And so now I have a chance every morning to wake up and bury myself in Scripture and then pray about the day. And I have to say I'm sometimes lazy, and I repeat the same prayer every morning. I think God's okay with that. I don't think he minds, because I'm doing what he asks us to do, which is come to him. My favorite psalm is Psalm 121. You all should love this psalm because you have the appropriate geography. You see, it starts out with, I lift my eyes up to the hills. You get to do that every morning. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. It's extraordinary. That's where it comes from. And so as we engage and we seek help, there will be help. There will be help. In Virginia, we sort of have a lot of this we carry around with us. You see, Virginia, for those of you that aren't from Virginia, I'm sorry, but America was made in Virginia. I mean, I was recently in South Carolina. It didn't go over so big. But you see, in this great Commonwealth of Virginia, so many of these basic principles were not just debated, but they were in fact inscribed on the founding documents of our nation, and then battles were held in order to win our liberty. Battles were held. Most powerful words, I believe, written in this hemisphere were written by a Virginian, Thomas Jefferson. He wrote it in the Declaration of Independence. We're going to celebrate this in the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence next year. I encourage everybody to start celebrating now because it's that big. But he wrote these words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, broadly defined as men and women, are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator, not by government, not by a dictator, not by a monarch, but by our Creator, with certain unalienable rights. And among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." These were incredibly powerful words that changed the world. Absolutely changed the world. Now, we as a nation have failed to live up to them, and yet we then get to look at another document that was, of course, written by a Virginian, James Madison, the Constitution. In the beginning of, we like James Madison. By the way, we celebrated Constitution Day last week. And he starts out the Constitution with these powerful words, "We the people," us, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, recognizing that it will come up short. We have to engage. That's what this is all about, engaging. I challenge each and every one of you to engage. I think Turning Point is an unbelievably great place to engage. That's what I think. And therefore, we are going to donate $100,000 to Turning Point USA to support new Turning Point chapters all over the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's what we're going to do. engage. The last bit is to endure. You see, it's easy for moments to be flashes in the pan. 2 weeks of efforts and then move on. This is the hard part. The hard part is to endure, is to set your sights on long term, to do the work that doesn't have immediate satisfaction but impacts 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. That is the magic. I was watching one of Charlie's interviews over the weekend, and he was reflecting on what it was like that first day, 2, 3, in the beginnings of Turning Point. And he was just reflecting on the fact they had no idea what they were doing, they had no money, and they were just showing up. Now think about that. Now fast forward to today. Fast forward to today. A sniper's bullet shot from a heart filled with evil tried to silence a voice of truth. A sniper's bullet shot from a gun held by someone with a heart of evil tried to silence truth. Tried to silence all of us. But you see, the exact opposite is happening. The exact opposite is happening. There is a revival spreading across this great nation. A revival spreading across this great nation that is spreading out while it points up to who's in charge. This is so awesome. Examine. Examine. That's so important. Engage and endure. All right, let me finish where I started because you want to hear from Megan. Charlie had 2 incredibly prescient quotes to live by. 2 prescient ones. This too shall pass. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Take those 2 home with you tonight. Reflect on them. Examine, engage, make a plan to endure. That's what tonight is all about. When I look out across this room and I see thousands of light, I see thousands of the future, I see where I want to invest my future in you, because you will be light. You will carry the baton. You will engage. You will change minds. You will be that revival. And therefore, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for believing in what Turning Point stands for. Thank you for being willing to step outside your comfort zone. Thank you. Now, here comes the hard part. You see, one of the things that I firmly believe in is that prayer is essential, absolutely essential to everything we do. And this is now where it might be a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to ask you to bear with me. In my family, we hold hands when we pray. Now, oftentimes I do this with the big guys on my detail because I like to see them hold hands. We take pictures too. But if you wouldn't mind, just quietly reach over to the person next to you and hold hands. And gather yourself together and join me join me in a moment of prayer. Father God, thank you. Thank you for every single person in this room. Father, you say to bring our asks to you. We would ask for some air conditioning. But Father, we know you gathered us here tonight for a reason. And you promise us when 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, you will be among us. And so we invite you. Father, we thank you for Charlie Kirk. We thank you for his life. We thank you for the way that he lived it. We thank you for the way that you inspired him and called him. We thank you for his courage to say, yes, send me. Father, we thank you for your promise is real, that Charlie is with you in your kingdom. And yes, when he arrived, there was a celebration, and you said, well done, good and faithful servant. Father, we pray for Erica and their family. We pray for her first as a mother. We pray for her as Charlie's wife. We pray for you to give her strength to fulfill those essential callings on her. But we also pray, Father, for her new role as leader of Turning Point, that you will provide her the strength, the capabilities, and by the way, the team to do all that you want Turning Point to do. Finally, Father, I ask for your blessing on everyone here. Will you stir in their hearts a moment to examine, a moment to engage, and the strength to endure? Father, will you shine your face upon each and every one, and may they know your peace. And Father, we pray all of this in the mighty name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. And all God's people say, amen. God bless you all, and thank you.
Wow. Can you guys hear me? All right. Wow. This is pretty cool. It's kind of mean for them to put me after that. I don't think I can live up to that. But my name is Elliot. I'm the chapter president here. It is really awesome to see all you guys here. Yeah. So, I mean, our chapter, the last few weeks, we have gotten so much interest, so much membership. We've been blown away. It's been awesome. So tonight, I want to thank a few people. First, I want to thank the law enforcement people here. They've been doing such a good job. You know, these last few months, or the last few weeks, have been really crazy. But I mean, these guys come out here, they put their lives on the line for us, and that's really awesome. So really, thank all of you. That's so cool. And I also really want to thank all the people from Turning Point USA, my chapter staff, really just my VP and my secretary, Thomas and Jacob. They have been so awesome, and so many times when I haven't been able to do something, they've been able to step up, and it's been so cool. So can I get a round of applause for them, please? And then also the event staff and our field representative, Emily. She has been awesome. Guys, let me tell you about something about Emily. I don't know if I know anyone who works as long hours as her. I mean, she works so hard. She comes here at 9 a.m. She's not going to leave here tonight until definitely past 9 p.m. So thank you, Emily. Emily, you are so great. And all of the Turning Point USA event staff have been so awesome putting this together. I mean, really, all I do is just send a few emails to admin. They do all of the back-end stuff. They brought you guys here. So really, another round of applause for them, please. And also, I want to mention, obviously, a lot of you guys here are not members of our chapter. And if you are interested, I encourage all of you to go to tpusa.com/get-involved and join our chapter. If you don't go to Virginia Tech, join a chapter or start a chapter. We need you guys. So please, I really encourage you guys to do that. Finally, I'm going to plug AmFest. If you guys don't know about AmFest, it's really awesome. It's in Arizona. It's in a few months, and it's going to be really awesome. So go to the Turning Point website, and you're not going to want to miss that. Finally, the last thing I have is to honor Charlie. We wanted to take a picture with all of you guys. So you guys should have little flags and banners in your seats. If you guys want, stand up and bring up the energy a little bit. Let's cheer. Yeah. All right, and we're going to take a picture. Come on, yeah, guys, come on. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. And now, it is my honor to introduce Miss Megyn Kelly.
My name is Charlie Kirk, and I love America because I love talking with people I disagree with. Started an organization that's now on 1,000+ campuses to save the greatest culture and country ever to exist.
Our family's divided. We're divided the same way the nation is divided. Will anything ever be remedied? A nation divided against itself will not stand, neither will a family divided against itself.
Why do you think your son is conservative? You as a father should listen to your son.
I used to be, at one point, on my father's side. Upon doing my own research and seeing things firsthand, I've switched sides. We talk every day about politics to the point where it's divided us.
Father-son divide is more important than politics. Really try to come down at what generational perspective do they have. Never let politics get in the way of the beautiful relationship between father and son.
And my question for you is, do you have any hate against the LGBT community?
How could I hate that which I have a heart for? I might not agree for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make, but of course not. And if someone said, Charlie, what's your view on marriage? I say, I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. Do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
What's this big for?
I go around universities and have challenging conversations because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens. Okay. You could see that happen all across the world.
What motivates you to come out here?
Well, because I love talking to people I disagree with. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
First, I just want to say I don't agree with you on a lot of stuff, but I really respect, and I think you don't agree with me on a lot of stuff, but I really respect that you'll have a dialogue. I think one of the big problems in this country right now is, people can't have a dialogue, and people, don't even know how to, have a dialogue and use logic and, have an actual argument like you do. So how do we improve that as a country? How do you think we get more people that can argue on both sides of the aisle?
And I think this event is a great example of it, right? I think that this event is, we need to have differing opinions. We need to have people that don't share the same worldview and see which one is better and try to find common bond. You should have your own discussions like this every day. You should try to model it and try to have, back and forth, and that's what makes the country strong and great. Civil dialogue.
Megyn, you are amazing. God bless you. And Turning Point USA thanks you.
so much for being here, you guys. I am thrilled to be here with you guys tonight. And of course, my only sadness is that it's not with Charlie. Charlie asked me to go on the tour with him a couple of months ago, and we were going back and forth on which stop would make the most sense. And he proposed one date and I couldn't do it, or the other way around. And we settled on Virginia Tech a while ago. And he was so looking forward to this. I was just talking to Erica, and she wanted to tell me that, number one, wanted me to tell you, he's so looking forward to this. He so wanted to be here with you. And that she is so proud of you for showing up. And she also wanted me to tell you that she's got your back. Turning Point has got your back. I guess I wanted to start with just thanking you for showing up. Showing up. They say half of life is showing up, and you did that. And in this particular circumstance, showing up is courageous, given what happened with Charlie. And I'm sure many of you thought about it. I'm sure many of you had conversations with your parents about it. Is it safe? Should I do it? Am I going to be okay? And I had conversations with my family about it too. But I think we all came for the same reason. Obviously, to hear me. But really, the reason is to send a message that we will not be silenced by an assassin's bullet, by a heckler's veto, by a left-wing woke professor, or anyone who tries to silence us from saying what we really believe. Those days are done. They're really done. The last in-person conversation I had with Charlie was in July, and you just saw a tiny clip of it at the end of that reel. We were in Tampa at the Turning Point event, and we did a long segment. We talked about Epstein, we talked about a bunch of stuff, and we finished it with Charlie asking me, what advice do you have for all these students here? Because it was the Student Action Summit, so it was a bunch of young people just like you. And it wasn't rehearsed. He didn't know what I was going to say. We just happened to have a lot of shared values. And I said, say the thing you really want to say. Say what you really believe. Say what's actually in your heart. Don't go along with what the professor wants you to say just to get a pat on the head or a good grade. It's truly, deeply important. And let me explain why. You know the basics, but let me explain more. For too long, what's been happening in college campuses and high schools and middle schools, for that matter, and possibly below, is that students who are right-leaning or conservative in thought or independent-minded even, and may have heterodox thinking on whatever issue of the day it is, have been clamming up. Because we all know very well that 99% of our professors are leftists, and they're not going to like us if they find out that we're not. And they will like us more if they at least think we might be leftists, like there's still a chance. And we're not going to get as good a grade on our paper if we write right-wing things instead of left-wing things. If we take all the positions that they want us to take, especially on cultural issues, we're going to be well-liked and well-graded. And maybe you want to go to med school. Maybe you want to go to grad school. So your grades matter. So you figure, I'm just going to play along for the short term, for the long-term gain. And then finally, maybe when I get out there into the world, I can say how I feel. At that point, I can express my actual beliefs. But what happens is, you get into grad school or med school or law school, and you just run into a bunch more of the same kind of professors. They're just giving you a different degree. So the game has to keep going, because your grades don't stop mattering when you get into law school or med school or grad school. You could argue they matter even more, because now you're competing for your real job at the end of this particular stint. So you need to have the perfect A's in your med school. You've got to, these are competitive people. We're all doctors, we're all lawyers, we're all grad students. So you keep doing it, this routine. And then you get hired at a hospital or a law firm or a company that likes these grades and has no idea who you really are because you've done nothing. You haven't put anything on your resume that would telegraph you might not be like-minded to them. You might actually be on the right side of the aisle. So they welcome you into their company. And then you may find out the hard way, a year or two or more into it, that there has been a mismatch. Because they're not looking for somebody who thinks the way you do, who loves America the way you do, who believes in personal integrity the way you do. They're looking for a woke duck that's going to follow in line behind without making too much noise. And they see on your resume, you are such a person. You never caused trouble. You didn't put Turning Point USA on your resume while applying. You didn't walk into that interview with your advanced history or, you know, politics and gov essay and a D on the front of it, and you didn't hold it up like a badge of honor saying, let me show you what I wrote and why I got this D. Because I refused to write that capitalism is bad. I refused to write that men can become women. I refused to say the Second Amendment should be repealed. I refused to say that hate speech is not free speech. I refused and told that employer right from the get-go who you really were, so that at a minimum, if you weren't like-minded, you had a basic respect for the fact that you stand up for what you believe in and you don't lie about what's important to you. And so what needs to happen now for a couple of reasons. To ensure that your long-term marriage with your corporate employer, whoever it may be, is a good one, is a real one, and is founded on ideal principles. You don't have to wear your politics on your sleeve, but you can't hide them anymore. You can't hide them anymore because of the second reason, which is, simply put, there is safety in numbers. You know the "We Are All Charlie Kirk" that we've been saying and hearing? That's more than a slogan. We're saying that because we believe in Charlie's ideals, we believe in what he stood for, and we want to reinforce in our own personal lives. But "We Are Charlie Kirk" means something more to me. If you say it, and 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 you say it, then it is less dangerous for me to be up here, or for you to be up here the next time, or for you guys to be in class writing what's true, or for you guys to apply for that internship or corporate job or med school, whatever it is. We know we're in the majority. We know that conservatives are in the majority in the United States of America. That is why we have Trump as 47. So why are we so afraid? We're the majority. Why are we so afraid? Because we are indoctrinated for the first 25 years of our lives in leftist institutions that try to make us little leftists, or at least afraid, scared, cowering conservatives who don't want anyone to know. Let it out. Say it loud. Say it proud. There's nothing wrong with it. It's beautiful. Stop hiding it. Stand up for what you believe in. Be respectful of the other side, just like Charlie was. You don't have to own your professor or, be a jerk. But they're not allowed to own you or be a jerk to you either. We've been going along with that, letting them do that to us for too long, and it's bull. You know me and my potty mouth if you listen to the show. But this is a Charlie event, so I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to try. So you have to. Now you have to. And by the way, having been canceled from a job very publicly, can I tell you, it's better for you if you really do have your principles line up with those of your employer. I've actually come around to the place where I love cancel culture. I actually think it separates a person from a place at which they did not belong. You don't get canceled from a company that shares your values. Time after time, these cancellations have worked to remove, to, I would say, liberate many of us from a place that was positively vile. What? Was that out loud? So you've got to do it. So find your courage, find your strength, and show up. Show up for yourself. Be honest. Bring your integrity into the room. Stand up for your principles. Stop hiding them. Don't let a professor berate you out of them, and you remind them that you, not they, are in the majority. All right, enough from me. Let's hear from you. You guys have some question for me? I'm going to let the Turning Points people take it over. Come sit in the front row of your life. God bless you. Thank you. Love you guys. Love you. like we have ways of making you talk late.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
I'm just wondering, what is your gym split?
My gym split. That is very funny. So I do work out only twice a week. And can I tell you, that's enough. I work out twice a week for 45 minutes with a trainer. And I just lift like, light weights. That's it. That's all you have to do. I do walk a lot, like I do some aerobic activity and that, but I'm telling you, you really don't have to do much more than that, to be honest, and I don't really have a ton of time to do much more than that. But if you can spare 45 minutes twice a week, it'll tone you right up. Yeah. Yeah, right on.
I just wanted to also start you off.
Sorry, I can't hear you, hon.
Hello. I just wanted to start you off with another easy question. What is your Starbucks order?
Oh, my Starbucks order. All right, so it's a trick answer. I don't go to Starbucks. Right on. Not go to Starbucks. It's too bitter. And by that, I mean the employees. It's not for me. Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you. I do disagree, I think, with some of the things that you have said, but I also disagree with some of the things that have been said about Israel in regarding to what Candace Owens has said, what Ben Shapiro has said. But I feel like I do agree with you in the sum that you sometimes will take a more nuanced approach and criticize them or agree with them. But I wanted to ask, I disagree with the Republicans. I feel like they're being vague about Israel. And so I wonder if places, I'm asking for specific people. Do people like Bill Ackman, Robert Shillman, or AIPAC, are they influencing American politicians? Are they influencing popular YouTubers? Are they influencing people like Fox News? And God forbid, are they influencing our president and the decisions that are made?
You might be the one person in America that agrees neither with Ben Shapiro nor with Candace Owens. I don't understand where you are. So I don't know what the answer to that is, whether Bill Ackman is influencing President Trump on Israel. I mean, I think President Trump, especially on foreign policy, has come to his own conclusions. Look what he just said about Ukraine yesterday. He's suddenly flipped the switch and he was like, I think they could win the whole territory back. What? And then some, he said. Wait, what? Trump is actually, you can see his evolution as he deals with foreign policy. And that's a job of one, really, right? Because the commander-in-chief is going to have to make a lot of these calls that are going to get people killed. His goal is to stop killing people and to save lives, which is really laudable. So I think Trump is making his own decisions on Israel. I think Trump is very pro-Israel, very pro-Israel. And I would say Trump and I have the same position when it comes to Israel. We're on Israel's side. However, having said that, Trump said this a year ago and I said this thereafter. It's time to wrap it up. It's time. It's been too long, and Israel is losing the support of its closest ally and most important ally in the world, and that's us. They've already lost the Dems. They've lost the independents. They've lost Republicans under 30, and they're starting to etch away at Republicans over 30, and that can't happen if Israel wants to maintain its standing in the world. So that's my view.
Real fast, quick follow-up, thank you. Do you think rich billionaire Jews or the Israeli government influences American politics?
Did you say rich billionaire Jews? Whoa. I don't like when people call Jewish people Jews after the word billionaire. It sounds kind of uncomfortable. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Hell, why not? If you're a rich billionaire, whether you're a Jew or you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, why wouldn't you try to exert your influence? I mean, that's what they all do. They all try to buy the president. All of them. One of the reasons Trump got elected is because he had independent money and he promised us that he wasn't loyal to anybody except for us, and we believed that promise. And so far, I feel like he's done pretty well on it. Hi there.
Hi. I just wanted to know, because I feel like we live in a world that's full of a lot of hate right now, how I, as a Christian conservative woman on a college campus, can love and show compassion to people who don't agree with me and, quite frankly, hate me, because it's scary to walk around and feel secure in my beliefs when I know that people want me to, die for what I believe in.
Well, I would say, first and foremost, have in your frontal lobe a woman named Erica Kirk. Have you ever seen such a showing of strength and compassion and Christianity in one soul? She is now the lifeblood of this entire organization, and she was completely the appropriate choice. But I mean, if she can find forgiveness in her heart for the assassin who stole Charlie from all of us, you can surely find it for the people who are jerks on college campuses. Now, having said that, I do actually have a real-life approach to dealing with hardcore liberals with whom we disagree. And I know this approach, I have this in my heart, because some of my best friends are hardcore liberals. I mean, I've been living in Manhattan for the past 20 years. We only recently moved to Connecticut. I'm from a family of Democrats, so I have this skill down, and I would recommend the following. Be with them, have dinner, have lunch, have coffee, have a drink, whatever, and don't talk about politics at all. There's so many other things we can talk about besides politics. Here tonight, we'll probably talk about some politics, among other things. But think about it, like when you go out with your girlfriends, you're not constantly talking about Trump and, Chuck Schumer. Literally nobody's ever talking about Chuck Schumer. You're talking about your life, like the guy you're dating and what school you want to go to and this professor who's a jerk and, the diet that you want to try. Like, that's all the stuff, like that's the spice of life. That's what can bond you with somebody and remind you of their humanity without making politics the stakes. I go on a once-a-year girls' trip with two of my best friends. One's from Chicago, one is from Detroit, and my Detroit gal is definitely very liberal, a committed liberal. I wouldn't call her a leftist. She's not woke. The Midwesterners are sane. And then my Chicago gal is more independent, right-leaning. And we've been doing this every year for 20-plus years. And why does it work? Because we don't talk about politics that much. I think you should keep leftists in your life. I don't think you should talk about politics. If you really, really love each other and you feel like it's safe to try an issue here or there, then introduce it. But there's really no reason to start debating, I think, people with whom you have diametrically opposed views, because while you should hear them, you should know what they are, debating them with each other, I think is probably not likely to convince either one of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for coming.
Hi, how are you, Megan?
Hi, I'm good.
Thank you
How
for
you
being
doing?
here. Thank you, Glenn Youngkin. This is a great event. I just want to start off by saying I'm a huge lefty. I love Joe Biden. I was one of the
Welcome here anyway.
I was one of the 50 to 100 people at his rallies back in the 2020 COVID era. And I just
really
want
wanted
to
it.
ask about your thoughts on Barack Obama. He's like my favorite president of all time. I think he was great for this country. It was really nice to see a beautiful black man in the office. And where would you rank him among like modern U.S. presidents? Where would you put him?
Sorry, I didn't hear the landing.
Like, where would you rank Barack Obama out of the last few modern presidents? Like, for me, he's number one. Like, where would you put him?
You're a very brave man, first of all. Good for you. Good for you for coming out here and saying that in front of all these people who you probably assume don't agree. So that's very brave of you. I would rank him in the 21st century at the very bottom. Yes, correct. Yeah. He'd be last. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. As you guys may know, I don't know because you're young, but are you guys aware of the fact that President Trump and I didn't always get along? Yeah, okay. So there's a history there. But now we do. Now we're all good. But at the beginning of Trump, 15, 16, we were coming off of Obama. And I used to say at that time, I think Obama is a good man, but a bad president, and that Trump is a bad man, but a good president. That's what I thought initially. And I completely had that wrong. I actually think Obama was a bad president, and I genuinely think he was a bad man. I know, sorry, controversial. And I think Trump is a good man and a good president. I think both. And the thing that I really object to about the Barack Obama years, having lived them and reported on him nightly on Fox News, is that I don't think we've had a more divisive president. People think President Trump is divisive. Let me walk you back through the Barack Obama years, okay? The first thing he did, was he seized control of 1/7 of the U.S. economy and shoved down our throats Obamacare, which the American people did not want and did not have majority support. It was the first time in our history that it had ever been done, and the country was angry. He lied repeatedly, saying, if you like your doctor, you can keep if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. It was a lie, and he knew it was a lie at the time. I used to give him the benefit of the doubt, saying he was mistaken about his own health care plan, because that's the kind of person I used to be. And then it became clear that he knew it was a lie, because the facts came out he knew it was a lie. So he lied intentionally and took people's doctors away, and people died. He got in there and said, elections have consequences. Too bad. I'm doing it. He's the one who injected race into the society at every turn. We never had a president do this before. And not just because he happens to be of mixed race. We never had a president take cases, legal cases, and I was a lawyer, practiced law for 10 years before I went into journalism, take legal cases that are in the news and comment on them in a way that's very provocative and stirs up anger, like the Trayvon Martin case. He's the one who made that a new practice of getting ahead of the evidence and dividing us on that issue. We could be here all night, but those are a couple of examples. So,
okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming and for the question.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. So I'm a mom, and I know you're a mom, and I have my child on Yimpy, and that's a Christian-based, app, so she can watch TV and everything. But I have a question on, we pray morning, eating, mid-afternoon, we do scripture, and we pray at night, but at the same time, I don't want to, brainwash her and make her feel as she gets older that I'm just shoving it down her throat and, brainwashing her. I want her to have that feeling that he's there.
On your faith, you're saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So how do I balance that?
Well, I think with any of these issues, could you guys hear the question? Okay. How can she raise her child to be a person of faith without shoving it down her throat and going over the top? I really think the answer to that is the answer I'd give you on virtually anything that you want to teach your children, which is light-handed. Let them think it's their idea. Even with our children, and my husband and I really do not want to raise 3 lefties at all. But we have said from birth, it's up to you. You guys will figure out what you want to do. These are our values. This is how we view these issues. Even on the most controversial issues, you name it. We say this is what we think, but you guys are going to have to figure out what you think. And then just exposure, exposure, exposure. It's like Tucker Carlson is back for his 20th visit. I don't know why he's here again, right? Just exposure. And I think she'll get it. But it's kind of like you being a little more subtle about bringing it into her life.
So part 2, what do you think is a good age? Let's say we go to church. What is a good age to be okay, you can make that decision?
Well, that I would say never. Not until, once they're out of your house. Like in our house, they're going, whether they want to go or not. And you teach them. That's an obligation. You're coming.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Hi.
Hi, Megan. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Jenna. I'm one of the co-founders of the Turning Point chapter at JMU.
Right on. All right.
I'm the other co-founder, co-president, vice president.
Way to go, girls.
So I have a question for you. Sorry, I'm shaking. I'm so nervous. So I work at school, and I work under and with mainly a lot of people who disagree with my values and beliefs. And I've never really spoken about it in front of them just for the sake of keeping the peace and the friendships. Since starting this chapter, I've received a lot of different treatment from those people at work, indirectly mostly. However, recently this past week, I was reported by a coworker for discussing politics and making her uncomfortable with a fellow coworker when I was mainly just discussing how great it was to have this new chapter and the events we had planned this week. And in an interview for a higher position, I was asked who my role model was, and my answer was Charlie, because that's always been my answer. And I tried to think of a different answer, but I'd be lying. So I said that, and when discussing this with a coworker who was present, I was basically told that it was a bad answer and that it was the wrong answer. So just dealing with all of this at work, what is your advice on moving forward with this?
Well, I'm trying not to swear, but F these people. These are bad people. You should not want to continue the relationship with them. Anybody who would make your politics the stakes of your presence there is not somebody you should work with. They're bad people. Normal lefties, again, I have them all over my life. Normal liberal people, normal Democrats will not make your love for Charlie the stakes of your employment or advancement. What you're telling me is these are bad people, and you should extract yourself from them as soon as humanly possible and find a better place to work. You're in Virginia. We have actual conservatives here, not like New York where I've been living. Get me your number, and I will help find you a job.
Thank you. I'll try and find you after, if that's okay.
You're welcome.
And also, part 2, for our new and upcoming chapter, do you have any advice for us starting in a mostly left-sided campus?
Well, you think they're mostly left-sided, this campus. But let me tell you what happens once you start speaking as a conservative. Because there have actually been studies on this, not about politics, but on how in any given room, you think you're in the minority, so you don't raise your hand. You think your question's dumb, so you don't raise your hand. You think your position is the weird one, so you don't raise your hand. And that every time you do speak up, you find there's a circle in the room that agrees with you. And then the circle multiplies because people hear you espouse the idea and they're like, you know what, that's my belief too. And you don't have to trust Megyn Kelly about this. Go on X any day of the week. I know you're all young. Do you guys go on X? Okay, you're not stuck on TikTok alone, right? Because they hate our people. But go on X any day of the week and you will see the sea of videos coming out right now of young people saying, oh my God, I've been watching Charlie Kirk videos and I am a conservative. But you're not going to get people there unless you speak the truth, you say what you believe, you stand up in class, and then someone's going to say, you know what, she's bold. And I'll just say, not as, just as an aside, but I do kind of think where the hot men are, the hot women come. So I know Turning Point can be very heavily male-dominated, but, ladies, as soon as you start showing up there and show them who you're seeing, I feel like you're going to have a lot more droves behind you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, love your hat.
Hi, thank you so much. I just want to first thank you so much for being here. My question today is, what is your advice to young adults who are getting leftist bull, we'll call it, pushed down their throats? Specifically with my grandparents, they blatantly screamed at me in front of a family dinner for not being vaccinated, and I originally told them it wasn't their business. Along with, I'm taking an identity and inclusion in agriculture class, which is a required course for my major. And again, I know you've mentioned it already a little bit, but I feel forced to act like I'm a lefty. What's your advice on that?
So on the vaccine front?
Just no, on how to deal with people who are trying to change my views. And
well, you should listen to them. I listen to people who disagree with me all the time because the rare occasion comes along when I realize I was wrong about something, and then as a result of this conversation, I'll be less wrong tomorrow than I was today. So the name of Charlie's this session, that he does on college campuses or did, is Prove Me Wrong. So you should be open-minded to being proven wrong. Because maybe we are wrong on some things. Who knows? Could happen. Thought I was wrong once, but I wasn't. I was right. So you should listen to them and maybe engage, ask questions, see why they think about these issues differently than you do. And if you disagree, you don't have to try to convince them back. You just say, I got it. You gave me something to think about. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with your questions about vaccine, and that class you have to take is absolute baloney. And I'm doing well, aren't I? And on my swearing. And I actually think in that class, maybe you could have some fun. If I went to that class, I think I'd enjoy myself. You should say what you really believe.
I'm honestly afraid that I'm not going to pass the class if I speak up, like you've already mentioned.
Then you take that paper and you go to your dean and you say, this person's failing me because I'm conservative, and I'm literally going to Harmeet Dillon at the DOJ Civil Rights Office if you try to ruin my college career because of my political beliefs.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I definitely speak up in class. I'm just a little hesitant, even though I'm normally pretty loud and proud about my.
You're hesitant because you guys aren't having her back. Charlie's Army, they use that term at his memorial, Charlie's Army. And you're all part of it. And you guys have to have her back. Erica said she'd have your back. You got to have her back. If she speaks up in class and says something, somebody say, I agree with her. That's how I feel too. You got to do it for each other so you're not just the one sore thumb sticking out and the teacher feels less emboldened to try to bully you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, Megyn. My name's Mary. My mom loves you, by the way.
Right on.
Do you think the Epstein files should be released, and why do you think they haven't been released yet?
Yes, I think the Epstein files should be released. This has not been handled well by the administration. The overpromising and the underdelivering doesn't work in any area of politics, and it really doesn't work when it's something this, well covered. So no, I think we are entitled to more documents. Will we get them? I doubt it. I don't think so. I think so far they've been sort of putting out things that they think are supposed to satisfy us, like we'll call for the court transcripts, like the grand jury indictment in the Epstein case and the Ghislaine Maxwell case, which they knew they weren't going to get. They knew the court was going to say no, and indeed the court said no. So these have been fig leaves so far. I'm not satisfied. I've also moved on because we have a lot more important things to discuss at this point. But yeah, no, I give them a D- in how they're handling Epstein.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm a big fan of the podcast.
Thank you.
As a fellow Catholic, I really enjoy seeing you engage with the faith on your show, particularly when you bring on guests like Bishop Robert Barron and Father Michael Schmitz. My question is, seeing you re-engage with your faith, has that made you reconsider your position at all on IVF over the last year since the Alabama court case? I know that you've been very publicly supportive of IVF, and on a couple of points on which I think we agree. I think we both agree that all children that have been brought into the world using IVF are a blessing. It is a good thing that they exist and are in the world. I think we also both share the opinion that all children that are currently in a cryogenic freezer should have the opportunity to be born, and they shouldn't be held captive by an IVF clinic. But my question is specifically on your thoughts on, is it good for society? Should we allow society to have millions of human children conceived in a way through IVF in which many of them will be destroyed, many of them will never have the opportunity to be born?
Did everybody hear it? He's asking about my opinion on IVF, in vitro fertilization, because it can leave a fertilized embryo in a test tube or, petri dish forevermore, frozen, potentially millions of them, sitting, waiting, that'll never be born, and that is life. So it's a good question. And I've been public about the fact that we used IVF to conceive our kids, so obviously I'm in favor of it. Yeah, thank you. You're really going to love them when you meet them. But I totally get that it's controversial, and I would just say, I'm not really into, forcing other people to do it exactly the way I did it, but I think there is an ethical way of doing it, because having been through this, now I can say, you get all the eggs, and you know how many eggs you have, and then you can choose how many to fertilize. Like women will only produce 2 eggs. So most women would say, I would carry 2 babies, and then you can fertilize those 2 eggs. But if you are somebody who produces a bunch of eggs, let's say you produce 20 eggs, then now you have a real moral quandary, I think you should, before you fertilize all those eggs, because those are babies, and you probably aren't going to go back and get them. Now, having my 3 children, I can't imagine having 3 more of them, just like them, waiting for me in a freezer, and I'm too old to go get them, So I agree with you that it really does pose a serious moral issue, and I thank God every day that we did it in a way where I did not have any extra embryos, and I think everyone can get there. The mother will have to go through potentially another cycle or 2, because you don't just get all the eggs at once and fertilize them all. But it's worth it. It's worth it to not have a child of yours sitting in a freezer somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that since it's such an ethical problem that we should have the government involved in a way where we can make sure that extra leftover children, as you once mentioned on the podcast, won't be created?
Won't be?
How do we prevent the creation of what you called leftover children, just like the children that you're worried about?
I don't think it's a matter of the law. I agree with you.